Well, how we doing today? So today, probably not going to talk about the Bible. I'm going to tell you, start off with, I don't know, over the last several nights, I wake up and I can kind of feel this presence, and I look out here, and on my dinghy is this big blue great heron, and I don't know, he's been hanging out, and I've been shooing him away, and now I kind of wish I hadn't been shooting him away. I was reading that the Iroquois Indians and certain people believe they bring good luck, that they're a spiritual sign of wisdom and resiliency, and it kind of makes me think about some of the things I'm going through in life right now, where I need to probably use the wisdom I've had over the years to be resilient and take care of myself. And so that actually brings me to another story I wanted to talk about. It's actually a few different stories, and it all kind of ties into one, and you take from it what you want, and it is what it is. And I'm going to start off by talking about there are these strange lights I've seen in the sky for years, and really anybody probably can see them. They're blue and red, and they twinkle, and I know I've shown them to people, and people have seen them, and I'm not the only one that have seen them, and they're not stars, and I don't know what they are, and I've seen them since I was about 18. But anyway, so I'm talking about me and my first wife. We were married almost 10 years. I was home on, I'm going to tell you a funny story, actually, real quick before I tell you that story. We were camping out in Big Sur, and Big Sur was kind of my stomping grounds when I was a kid, and I loved it up there, and I used to go backpacking. I'd hitchhike up there, and it just was beautiful. So I wanted to show this to my wife, something that was special to me, and we were laying in the back of my mom's pickup truck, and we were camping, and we're looking up, and she goes, "Why is the sky cloudy at night?" She didn't understand that she'd never seen the Milky Way, and you can see it out there. It's beautiful. Anyway, on with my story, because my storage only holds so much on the phone. So anyway, so I was home on leave from the Army, and we were in Cayuga, somewhere along the coast, and it was late. It was about midnight or something, and we were going back to my mom's house where we were staying on leave, and there's an old back road that takes you from Cayucas into Templeton, which is near Tascadero, where my mom lived. And what was the name of that road? It doesn't matter. Anyway, we were about halfway, and during this whole trip, you might see like one house in the beginning, but it's way out in the countryside. And as a matter of fact, there used to be rumors about there being satanic rituals out there. Anyway, we're about halfway out, and out of the corner of my eye, I see looks like a little boy standing on the side of the road. And I'm thinking, what is a little boy doing out here in the middle of nowhere on the side of the road? And I look again, and it's this giant owl that must have been at least 4 feet tall. My wife saw it. I wasn't seeing things. It took off into the sky, and it spread its wings, and its wings went over and covered the entire span of the windshield. Came this close to actually hitting it. Flew off. Anyway, so you remember I was telling you about these stars I've seen. Well, one thing I should bring up, years later, a few years ago, I looked up, tried to figure out what kind of owl I'd seen so many years ago, and there is no such thing as an owl that gets that tall. And so it made me think. And oh yeah, and I should add, I lived in Alaska. I was stationed up there for 3 years, and there's an area there that has more alien abductions than anywhere else in the world. And there's a woman, I can't think of her name right now. She was a psychologist there, and these people were having PTSD symptoms, and they were going to her, and she would use some people use this, psychologists use hypnotherapy for PTSD to drag up memories that are too hard for people to remember, to try and get over them. And there's footage of this, and these people just while they're going through the hypnotherapy, they're terrified. And it's interesting, in the beginning, before she could get into the deeper levels of the subconscious, they would have dreams of these white owls on their windowsills. And come to find out, and you believe this or not, but those white owls were actually to cover up these memories of these abductions from these aliens. And anyway, so I'm going to skip ahead. I was staying at the VA in West Los Angeles last year, and I actually have some footage of I saw some UFOs, some of those lights, and this one particular night, I woke up at like 3 in the morning, and the witching hour. But normally I wouldn't do this, but I walked outside, and when I did, this white owl flew off in front of me, and I thought that was kind of weird, you know? But the older I get, the more I don't believe in coincidences, and I believe there's little signs from the... Anyway, so I kind of walk towards it, and I see these lights in the sky, and they're a little larger than normal, a little more active, moving around, and I had a motorcycle in the adjacent parking lot, and I thought, well, I was up, I'd go over and go take a look at it, and dude gets on it, and I was probably gonna go wipe off the dude, and there's a guy walking by. He must have been probably about 40 meters in front of me. There's a barber shop at the VA there. Anyway, and behind him I saw this big, large, rectangular, gray, almost opaque kind of looking being following him. And I watched it follow him, and this is kind of a weird night to me, you know, and it goes away, and the thing was probably about 8 or 9 feet tall, and I don't know, maybe it was 2.5 feet wide, and then maybe very thin. I don't know, it was weird. Anyway, so the guy walks around, and I'm standing out in the parking lot. I might have been smoking a cigarette or something. I'm looking at my bike. I don't remember. And I said, and it's 3 in the morning, so it's kind of a weird time to even talk to somebody. But I said, hey, you're not going to believe this, but I saw something following you. And he says, oh, yeah, that's my spirit guide. A spirit guide? You know about this thing? And so I'm talking to him, and I'm like, hey, look, we're talking about weird stuff, and I said, you should see these lights over here in the other parking lot. And so we're talking, and he knows all about, he's in some sort of religious group where they practice telepathy with aliens, and he knows all about these lights, and he's seen them, and he actually grabs a green laser pointer from his car on the walk over there, and as we get to the parking lot, 3 pine cones fall down, and that white owl takes off out of the tree right over the top of us. The pine cones barely missed us. And so he's talking about, these alien civilizations and different races, and he hits the biggest light with the green laser, and the thing shines a bright light at us. It was just the weirdest thing, and so that's kind of my story for today. Owls, aliens, and blue herons. I love you boys. You guys don't know I do this for my sons that I don't see a whole lot, and have a good day.